Good evening, and thank you for attending the Texas General Land Office's public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Funds today, Tuesday, September 21st. This public hearing is intended to seek input on Amendment 1 of the State of Texas Action Plan for Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Funds allocated to the state of Texas for mitigation programs, projects, and planning in the areas affected by the 2015-2016 floods, 2017 Hurricane Harvey, and the 2018 South Texas floods. Before we begin, there are a few housekeeping items to address. We are using the Zoom video conference service today. You'll notice that you're listed as a participant on the meeting. All participants are currently muted to reduce ambient noise, and video has been turned off to increase bandwidth for the presentation portion of this meeting. Starting right after my call to order, Heather LaGrone, Senior Deputy Director for the Community Development and Revitalization with the Texas General Land Office, will give a presentation on the action plan amendment. When she concludes, we will transition to public comment from our attendees. If you wish to provide public comment during today's public hearing, please complete the form at the SurveyMonkey link. The link can be found in the chat box in this event or online at recovery.texas.gov/public-notices. Each commenter has up to 3 minutes to provide their comment. If you have completed the SurveyMonkey form, we will call your name and unmute you to provide public comment. Please be aware that this public hearing is being recorded and will be made available publicly. Anyone choosing to speak is consenting to audio and/or video publication of their comments. Comments will be responded to with the submission of the action plan amendment to HUD. If you do not wish to speak during this hearing, we will be accepting written comments that are sent to our email account to cdr@recovery.texas.gov. Written comments will need to be submitted by 5 p.m. Central Time on September 29th. Now I would like to introduce Heather LaGrone.
Good evening, everybody. You'll see on your screen some of those very same housekeeping items that Alex just went through with you. We ask that you keep all of your comments brief and succinct as possible as we move into the presentation itself. Again, if you would like to speak during the public hearing, we're asking that you sign up via the SurveyMonkey link that is on your screen and also in the chat. If you do not wish to publicly speak, you do still have an opportunity for written comment through 5 p.m. on September the 29th. Our agenda for tonight includes the status of the CDBG mitigation programs, the additional mitigation funds that have been provided specifically for the 2018 South Texas flood areas, Amendment 1 changes, and your public comment. Before we get started on the amendment itself, I want to take a moment to remind you the distinctions and the differences between CDBG mitigation versus CDBG disaster recovery. CDBG mitigation does not require a tieback to a specific qualified disaster. With your disaster recovery funds, you are required to have a tieback. As an example, for a Hurricane Harvey CDBG-DR application and/or project, you would have to be able to define a specific tieback to Hurricane Harvey for that project to be eligible. Under the CDBG mitigation program, you are addressing current and future risks, so there is no need for tieback. DR is looking again backwards at unmet needs that contribute to a long-term recovery and restoration. 50% of the funds for mitigation are being spent in areas designated by HUD as most impacted and distressed. 80% of disaster recovery funds must be spent in those same HUD mid areas. And with mitigation, 50% of the funds have to benefit low to moderate income persons With the disaster recovery program dollars, it's 70% of the funds benefiting low to moderate income persons. So far, under the CDBG mitigation program, we have successfully done what we were calling round one of the competition. For 2015, we fully funded 4 projects. For 2016, we fully funded 21 projects. For Hurricane Harvey, we fully funded 81 projects. 100% of the projects that we funded were LMI of that $1.1 billion. The GLO has developed method of distribution and guidance forms. We have established recurring meetings with the Hurricane Harvey impacted councils of government, and we anticipate an initiation of the COG mod process this fall and completion by spring of 2022. Be on the lookout for notifications of public planning meetings from your local COGs. And now to give you some updates on the other programs in the CDBG mitigation program. Our mitigation grant program has awarded 13 projects with additional project reviews underway. The Coastal Resilience Program has awarded 2 projects with $20 million expended. The Housing Supplemental Program has reconstructed 38 homes with another 24 under construction and 64 approved for start. There are approximately 900 applications under review for this program, and to date, we've expended $5 million. The Resilient Home Program is currently underway, and we are projected to reconstruct about 300 homes from those funds. The Local Mitigation Plan Program launched on July 28th, and eligibility is considered on a first come, first served basis. To date, we have received 11 applications. That funding will remain available until fully exhausted, or July 2027. More information can be found on that open competition at the link on your screen. The Enhanced State of Texas Mitigation Plan has been provided to TDN for the development of that enhanced document for the state of Texas. The Lower Rio Grande Valley Regional Watershed Study is currently underway. It is looking to reduce the impacts and increase community resilience in Cameron County, Hidalgo County, Starr County, and Willacy counties. The Texas Coastal Resiliency Master Plan for 2023 is underway. Just for everybody's benefit, the state of Texas received a federal notice publication January 6th of 2021 with a total allocation of $4,652,000, adding a new eligible area to the mitigation program. This was provided on behalf of Hidalgo County, Jim Wells County, and Cameron counties for flooding events in 2018. Going through some of the housekeeping items and general overall updates that were created with the Action Plan Amendment 1, you'll notice that unutilized funds are being reallocated to the regional and state planning programs. The 26 flood mitigation competition was increased by $149,000. The GLO will now be allowed to offer partial awards to the next highest scoring project in the HUD mid competition and state mid competition with certain requirements. You'll notice the removal of the mitigation competition, or round 2, as we had been previously calling it. That $2.1 billion allocation has now been reduced to $975 million. All remaining funds from round 1 will be reallocated to the regional mitigation program. The South Texas floods funding for 2018 are going to create 2 competitions, a HUD mid competition for a little over $2 million, and a state mid competition for, again, a little over $2 million. The award amount is going to be no more than $1 million per application, with a minimum application amount of $250,000. Eligible applicants will be local governments, Indian tribes, and the councils of governments who are working in projects in the 2018 Texas flood eligible area. Eligible activities will include infrastructure for hazard mitigation, buyouts, and acquisition. That competition will be comprised of 100 total points. Those points are broken down in the fashion that you see on your screen. Any application that does not score a minimum of 65 points will only be considered after all applications scoring greater than this amount have been funded. With the Action Plan Amendment 1, you will notice a creation of a new Harris County Mitigation Method of Distribution Program. This is a $750 million set aside that will allow Harris County to develop and facilitate a county-wide method of distribution. Requirements for that method of distribution will be that the criteria be replicable for the whole allocation to eligible entities or activities, that it be conducted with at least 2 public hearings prior to the finalization of that mod, that one of those hearings be a public planning meeting, and it have a public comment period of at least 15 days. Eligible entities will include Harris County, cities and towns within Harris County, special purpose districts, again within Harris County. Eligible activities will be infrastructure for hazard mitigation, buyouts and acquisition, and planning activities within a 5% cap. At least 50% of the Harris County Mitigation Method of Distribution funds must meet the HUD LMI national objective. Looking at the regional mitigation plan, the regional mitigation program, you'll see that we have increased that program from $500 million to $1.1 billion. Councils of governments have been added as an eligible entity, and the COGS may request to add additional eligible entities such as state agencies, special purpose districts, port and river authorities, and entities in the 2015 and 2016 CDBG-MIT counties. The breakdown of the regional mitigation program is as follows. Additional details on programs that will remain within Action Plan Amendment 1 are Hazard Mitigation Grant Program Supplemental, though it has been decreased to $100 million. The Coastal Resilience Program has been decreased to $20 million. The Regional and State Planning Fund has also been decreased to $115 million, and administrative funds have been increased to $215 million. Those decreases are the offsets to the increase that you saw to the hazard mitigation, to the regional mitigation program. At this point in time, we would like to move towards our oral comment from our entities and individuals who have submitted their names. Again, we will have a 3-minute limit for each of you. We ask that you state your name and affiliation if possible. If you do not wish to speak, or we run out of time to allow all of our comments to be heard this evening, please know that we are still accepting written comments until 5 p.m. on September the 29th. You can also send those comments to cdr@recovery.texas.gov, mail them to P.O. Box 12873, Austin, Texas 78711, or fax them to 512-475-5150.